I'll let you know when I'm on.
I know. Well, I'm still
Here,
going to get ready.
Union Chief, come over here. And then Mr. Comer and Andrew, you guys head over there, and then you guys will go after your chief. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here in a second. Before we begin, I do want to acknowledge Councilmember Williams, who is here with us in the back today, so thank you for being with us this evening. We have 4 speakers who will issue prepared statements afterwards. We do have time for a couple questions. So we're going to start with Mayor Deb Feinen, followed by Chief of Police Anthony Cobb, then community members Mr. Reverend Willie Comer from Youth for Christ, and Angela Worthy with HV Neighborhood Transformation.
Before we get started, is there going to be any way we can get our remarks on the podium there? Because that's right in the middle, and I don't want to start moving people's mics. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, good. Good evening. Angry and sad. It's the only way to describe the emotions I currently feel. We are moving past one of the greatest health crises of our time and beginning to grasp just some aspect of normalcy. And now we're facing ongoing gun violence epidemic in both our nation and, most importantly, our local community. The gun violence has to stop. I am here with Chief Cobb and community members asking for all residents of Champaign to pull together and stand against the violence. Our city is so grateful for the members of our community that stand with us against gun violence. It is your willingness to comfort the grieving, support your neighbors, and engage in our anti-gun violence initiatives that will be the key to us solving and addressing this difficult problem. You have worked side by side with your city and police department to face this difficult challenge and to make a difference in our community. And while we don't have all the answers, I am confident that together we will find them. Our police have been working tirelessly, and our city and our council are committed to address this epidemic in partnership with our community. And now I'd like to introduce Chief Cobb.
Good evening. It is no secret gun violence within our city and across the country has surged at alarming rates. It remains an urgent, complex, and multifaceted problem without perfect solutions. It is a public health crisis and one that the entire Champaign Police Department is working to address around the clock. Through the first 4.5 months actually, of this year, the City of Champaign has experienced a 113% increase in confirmed shots fired calls over this time last year. While we have made several positive gun-related arrests in the past few weeks, the problem remains evident by multiple individuals struck by gunfire this week alone, including 3 victims today. The shooters in our community are showing a complete disregard for human life, and the tolerance of their behavior by anyone should not be allowed or accepted. Far too often, our neighborhoods and families are becoming heartbroken by the tragic news of a shooting or senseless loss of life. The impact of gun violence is creating a significant trauma for bystanders friends, officers, and loved ones who must try and live with the experience they wish never happened. Our neighborhoods are not asking for this problem. You are not asking for this problem. Our entire community, children, students, city leaders, faith leaders, business leaders, school leaders, police officers, and I are all tired of waking up to this senseless act of violence. But I know we will not quit until the problem is addressed. The officers of the Champaign Police Department have recently made numerous arrests during the investigation of these violence events. Increasingly, our officers are finding themselves in close proximity to these shootings or gunfire, and I'm concerned that our officers will be faced with a deadly use of force decision. My officers who show up daily and selflessly sacrifice their own family time to come into work to help investigate and solve these crimes have my complete appreciation for the work that often goes unseen and at times unappreciated. The collective efforts of all officers in the department have a common goal of ending this violence and ensuring public safety. We continue to need our public's help in addressing this violence. Please share what you know about these crimes with our department, a trusted community leader, or with Crime Stoppers. This is unquestionably a challenging time, but it must be more than a call to action. As your chief of police, I assure you all we are committed to addressing these incidents of gun violence and are grateful for all help we are able to receive. Thank you. At this time, I'm turning it over to Reverend Comer, Pastor Comer, Youth for Christ. Thank you.
I stand here as a brother, father, a cousin, whatever you want to call it. But I stand here to plead with the young people to please stop. 14 years old, shot. 2-year-old, shot. If you've got beef, obviously picking up a gun is not the way to handle it. It's not the way to go. We have the Youth for Christ House. We have other places that you can come to talk to us. We're available. We're here to have this conversation. But let's squash this beef, whatever that is. You've got to put guns down. It doesn't solve the problem. We see it. The only thing that we keep finding are innocent people being killed. Teenagers being killed. Babies being shot. For what? Because you have a beef? Listen, I'm begging you. Come to my office. 603 West University, across the street from Central. Let's talk. Let's chop it up. Whatever the beef is, we can get through it. But we can't get through it with bullets flying and just hitting innocent people. So I'm begging you, this Rev, I'm begging you, please put the guns down and let's just chop it up. Let's get together and let's figure it out. Okay? Let's do that. Got another community leader coming.
I stand here fighting tears. I'm a mother, an aunt, a sister, a member of this community that has been directly impacted by this violence. HVNT, HV Neighborhood Transformation, has been out in these streets. We've pled with y'all. We've given y'all an open door to come and talk to any of us. There is no beef in these streets that is worth losing your life or sending another person to the grave or to the system for. Please, y'all, it is time for the death and the destruction to stop. It is time for us to start having conversations that bring healing amongst families, healing in our own community. It is time to leave a better world for our children. If you need to have a conversation, if you need somebody to pray with you, whatever the case may be, you can find any one of us at HVNT, HV Neighborhood Transformation, at our offices at 116 West Main Street in Urbana. We are available at any time. Our phone lines are open. You know how to find us on social media, on the web. Please, I'm begging, I'm pleading, please let's start the healing. Put the guns down.
All right, at this time, we will take 2 or 3 questions. So if you have a question, please address who it's for and ask it. Ben?
Hi, Mayor Feinen. I guess with the latest shooting happening right downtown, what does this mean for downtown safety? Are you concerned about people feeling unsafe going out downtown?
I'm concerned about people feeling unsafe in any area of our city. You know, I think it's very easy to look at one spot and think, you know, oh, you know, that's the issue. But if you are living in Garden Hills and you have shots fired across the street from your house, you feel that way, you know, when that happens. And so I think that all of the things we've said today are important no matter where the shots are fired. And I know that our staff has a safety team that is addressing the issues specifically for downtown. And they are working on some plans relating to that, but we are also working on safety throughout the rest of our community.
Is there another?
For the chief. Why do you think that these are rising in statistics since 2021 and just keeps rising each year? And why do you think it's gang related or totally separate incidents? But why do you think it's happening?
I think, as stated in my address, it's multifaceted, a lot of issues going on. Society as a whole is increasing, so I would defer to our sociologists to help us out to figure out why we're seeing so much violence. But we're not in a snow globe by itself, and it's just happening in Champaign, it's happening across the country. We're trying to be as responsive as we possibly can to take the issues with the individual who have the guns and are firing the guns, but it's going to take a multifaceted approach to address it. That's the reason why we say it's a public pandemic, as we're on the heels of going through one and hopefully putting it behind as far as COVID-19. This gun violence one, it has to be a priority. We have to deal with it, but it's going to take Springfield, D.C., Champaign, and several other communities who are facing this to work together, work with our citizens to address it. The individuals who are shooting, they live here. We know who they are. The community knows who they are. Are we going to allow them to continue to victimize our entire community? I hope the resounding answer from my community is no. The Champaign Police Department, we are committed to show up daily and do what we can to resolve this issue, but we cannot arrest our way out of these situations. Why are these individuals picking up guns? Why are they shooting? We have to address that. There are some needs, there are some trauma. There are some other things that need to be addressed with. It doesn't excuse the criminal behavior, and so those are things we're bound to address.
All right, are there any more questions?
Yeah, I get Chief Cobb. What's the latest we know about the shootings the incident that took place along Springfield on 4th and further down in the western part of town?
Okay. Today, officers responded to report of shots fired in 2400 block of West Springfield. Upon their arrival, they found multiple shell casings. Still early, preliminary. We will be issuing a press release a little bit later as we get more information, but what I know right now is that it stemmed from some type of relationship, altercation between a male and a female. A weapon was discharged. I know at least one time a female victim was struck. She was placed into a vehicle and they were trying to transport her to the hospital. That vehicle she was in was in a motor vehicle crash at the intersection of 4th and Springfield. Officers responded to both scenes. When they got on scene there, the victim was provided medical aid. Once aid provided to her and EMS got there, they transported her to the hospital. I am happy to report that the victim is stable at this point in time, but she's still in the hospital. The victim was pregnant, 8 months pregnant. So that is concerning as well, because we could have lost 2 lives today over gun violence. But right now, things are stable and we're working the situation. So that's about all I'm going to be able to say at this point in time. The press release have more information, but that's the Reader's Digest version.
Last one?
Yeah, thank you so much. To anyone who can answer this real quick, we all know gun violence is a complex issue. And the chief just said, we are approaching this in many ways. But what are some of the ways that are successful as of now? And double question, what can people do to get involved and bring down the percentage of shootings, gun violence issues, et cetera, et cetera?
We can all come up. Well, I want to make sure that people are aware of our community coalition. You can look at Champaign Community Coalition, go to the website. We have monthly meetings. It is a community group that is led by the City of Champaign, but it is a countywide partnership and a community partnership that has community members, not-for-profits, government entities all coming together to work on anti-violence measures. The City of Champaign has many programs related to anti-gun violence. Most recently, we talked in study session about the LIFT program that will be coming, and that is in partnership with Unit 4. And that partnership, and that will be on our agenda for Tuesday night. But that is aimed at trying to help young children and older children even in our community so that they can manage the trauma along with their families, and also to help them succeed in our community so that we're not going to have the next generation of this going on. So I think it's important for everybody to pay attention to next Tuesday night.
I know this may sound cliche, and it may be because it'll feel that way because I'm a pastor, but man, if we don't get to a place where as a community we come together, pray, spend time together, talk to one another, begin to understand the needs and the trauma in our community, we're going to continue to face this. The problem is when we don't even know what the problem is that when my next door neighbor is going through all kinds of things, and I have no idea that they're going through it. We've become so detached from one another that we're not serving as community. We're just individuals living in the same space. And we've got to get back to being community. And that's what the coalition is all about. It's about bringing us all together so that we can be a community. So that if my neighbor, if my cousin, if somebody is going through and has a need, I can go to the community coalition meeting. I can say to them in that meeting, I've got a neighbor that's got a problem. I've got a problem. Can I get some help? If we don't get back to that, if your son, your daughter is going through something and they feel the need that they have to pick up a gun, call somebody. This is not your own individual problem. We're not saying handle this by yourself. We're saying as a community, let us know. We've got people ready to go and stand with you as a parent, stand with you as the person who may be going through something. But we can't do anything if you don't let us know. That's what's going to change this.
One thing I'm going to say is that, kind of piggybacking on him, but building relationships, showing people that somebody out here cares. Somebody out here loves them regardless of choices that they're making. Building relationships with them and leading by example. HV&T has a couple programs. One is Safe Haven. It's directed for the mothers and females in order to seek some counseling, seek a group of supporters, people that have been through what you've been through, and maybe can see you through the way. We also have the Awakening that is for the men and the young men in our community, where they're also working on some counseling and some group things to get together and also lead by example. There's a few other things as far as these youth need some guidance, guys. That's a big thing for me. And that's one of the things that we at HV do, that we have individual programs that we're currently in the making right now to start working with the youth. And again, the biggest goal out of all of that is just to let somebody know that somebody loves them, somebody cares about what they're going through, somebody cares to see that they get better and that they do better. I'm going to say it like I always do. It's time for us all to stand up and be loved.
All right, that'll do it for today. Thanks, guys.